Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll tell you the honest answer, then I'll tell you the prescribed answer. So the honest answer was I went to Glasgow Uni. I was supposed to do physics because my brother did physics and that was the formula. And then I got to uni and realized I hated physics. And not only that, it was the lecture theatre at Glasgow Uni it was freezing. You get in there early, and it was the first lecture in the morning. It was freezing, and every time it would rain, rain would come through the roof, and you get just water all over you. Meanwhile, an hour and a half later was the chemistry lecture you had to go to, and it was always this really nice warm lecture theatre. And so at some stage, I was like, I really like chemistry. This is really great. And it was on top of that, that was basically we first started learning about organic chemistry. And for the first time in my life, I think I'd basically when I started reading about it, it was just really really interesting, and it was much easier for me. A lot of other parts of chemistry I still have a really hard time with, as I mentioned earlier. My friends would make fun of how bad I am at, say, inorganic chemistry. But organic chemistry I've always found to be pretty straightforward. And so once you sort of found a subject that you liked, it was downhill skiing from there. It was a lot easier. So, I definitely think one of the sort of, I would say, things you should do is try lots of different subjects and see which ones you enjoy. And really, and when you find that enjoyment from it, that's going to be, the easier it is, it's always going to be better. So if you enjoy it, I think that's always a good sign. Uh, no, I mean, I think a lot of people in America would say that we were really lucky. Actually, we were lucky. So I think that we had success. A lot of people can spend years trying to make systems work. In the 6 months that took us to eventually get there, it was really nerve-wracking because we were worried that someone else is going to publish us, because that happens too. There's thousands and thousands of people around the world doing research, and you're sort of worried that they're going to do the same thing. But even 6 months, it feels like it felt a long time at time. It was still pretty rapid. So I think we were really fortunate, especially we were a really young group when this happened. And I think you talk to a lot of people that it might take you 3 or 4 years to get your break in terms of what actually ends up getting you tenure. So I think we were pretty lucky. If I was, to tell everybody in the class, the great thing about organic chemistry is that organic chemistry is like this game that you're playing where it's got lots of rules. But the really really cool thing about it is that you can change the rules if you want to by going in and doing research and changing the rules. So once you learn the rules, you can play the game. But it's always easier. You can do better at the game if you can change the rules to suit yourself. I think about it that way. So this chess piece analysis analogy is actually a pretty good way of sort of thinking about it. In terms of the way we would sort of describe it to people, I mean, I would just describe it as it's basically your body has these enzymes which are all doing these incredible reactions in your body all the time. But if you actually hone in and we're like, what's really doing it, it's actually little organic molecules in the enzyme as part of them that are doing it. So the analogy that we had was, why not just strip away all the stuff and just leave the little molecule part behind? It should still work. And lo and behold, it did. So it was lucky. But that was the way we thought about it at the time. I did do industrial placement. I went up to ICI Grangemouth to make polymers, which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Went up for 6 weeks. It was incredibly eye-opening. I remember something that you probably wouldn't see anymore, but they used to make polymers with aluminum trichloride, and it turns out that stuff is incredibly dangerous. And used to go up and see these guys in spacesuits shoveling this stuff, which you probably wouldn't be allowed to do anymore. But that was wild to sort of see like chemistry be done on that scale. The other way it really had an impact on me was there was a guy there who'd done his PhD, who did his postdoc in Canada, and he was always sort of banging on to me like, you should go over to Canada or America and do your PhD. And quite honestly, it wasn't something I'd really thought about till that time. And then he sort of convinced me to sort of apply. And so I ended up applying to 19 places in America, and only one of them wrote back, which was UC Irvine. So it was very fortunate I went to the placement that I ended up in America, and very fortunate one of them even bothered to respond to me. But yeah, but that was I love doing that placement. So if you get a chance to do it, I thoroughly recommend it. Honestly, I hated all of them. Um, no, when I was at school, all I wanted to do was go play football. So no, I think at the time I liked chemistry. I thought I really liked physics when I was at school. I thought it was I liked it was okay, but it wasn't until I probably got to uni that I realised I liked it the other way around. But to be honest with you, I wasn't very good at school, so yeah, I wouldn't say if any of my teachers were to hear this, they'd be laughing at me saying I liked it. I don't think I really demonstrated that I liked doing chemistry, but it was definitely the people who educated me were really, really good at it. So that I can absolutely say that part. Never ever the Nobel Prize part ever, honestly. But the change part for sure. I mean, once we got past those three reactions and the whole thing started to really take off, and then you would see all the different pharma companies starting to use it on a large scale. That was the moment where we knew, yeah, this is going to go far and wide. So definitely that part. As I said, when we first initial discovery, I thought, yeah, this is going to be the academic work was going to be excited about. It was different from everything that was out there. But in terms of like worldwide application, it really was after all those different reactions get developed. Uh, I'd probably get my hair cut the day before the Nobel Prize announcement. Apart from that, trying to think. I think I've had a pretty lucky life, so I think I'd probably think most things would. If I do anything differently, um, yeah, that's a tricky one. I think probably I would say that I would have definitely stuck in more I'm not just saying this because you are sitting there, but whenever I was in high school, I think I would have been a better student. I think I would have definitely spent more time learning about more things because you sort of see the value of it. I know that's the kind of thing you think you're supposed to say, but I really think in retrospect, I wish I'd learnt more when I was in high school and spent a bit more attention because the chance to learn things is like you can't beat it. It's the best thing in the world.